Hello, I welcome you to this session of Python programming. In today's session, we'll continue from the previous video, and I'll be discussing with you the formatting of numbers, integers, float, strings, and we'll see how we can format the numbers so that we can get an output as per our specification. And I'll also be discussing the various inbuilt functions in Python and maybe if time permits, then the modules also. So by default, you see the numbers, the strings, they are left justified by default when they are printed. You can override it by a greater than symbol. And by default, the numbers are right justified. So this can be overridden by the less than operator or the less than symbol. Now format statement is used to see the format or to print the format as per our specification. So let's begin a Python session and see how we can work around with the various formats. So here is our Python IDLE. Let me begin with the formatted output of integers. So let me take an integer with the value as a is equal to 987654, and to see whether it is an integer or not, you can see its type. So if you see its type, it is by default int. Similarly for floats, if you input a floating point number, then its type would be, so this type statement can be used to check the type of various variables. And say if I take a string and if I try to look for its type, obviously it would say a string. So this is the way you can check the type of various variables. And by default, you see whatever you do on the IDLE, you don't need a print statement to print it. For example, if you just say a is equal to 987654, and if you just write a, it will print the value of a. Okay. Print statement would be required when you are writing a script in a file, when you are writing a program in a separate file and you are running that file. Then these commands like this type command like this won't work. There you would need to write like this in your program. Okay, here it would work without this also. Okay, but inside a program when you're writing some statements, then you must use print statement extensively for your outputs. So coming back to the topic, let's say the value of a is 987654. Now if I want to see a formatted output for this, I would use the format statement like this, and format like you've studied in C. So some of you like most of you have already studied C. So you can mention a format like this, say 8D. So that would mean that you're trying to print the variable a in a field width of 8. Okay, and you can see that the total number of digits in a is 6. So two spaces would be left blank. So you can see the two spaces, blank spaces out here. Okay, and as we discussed, the output is right justified. So right justified output means that the output is inclined towards the right and any spaces are leading spaces. Okay, now as we discussed, you can override this thing. You can override this thing with the greater than symbol. I beg your pardon, with a less than symbol. Yeah. So now you can see the output is towards the left as compared to the previous outputs, which is towards the right. So in integers, output is right by default. Then you can use certain flags to change this output. For example, what I can do is I can use a 0 flag. So I can use a format as 08D. It would mean that the total space to print the number would be 8. Whatever is consumed by the number is there, and whatever is left, it would be filled with zeros. So you can see the output now that the two blanks are now replaced by zeros. Then you can also use a plus flag. A plus flag would put a plus sign in front of a positive number. Usually there is no sign in front of positive numbers. A plus flag would put a plus sign in front of positive numbers. You can combine plus and 0 also, so something like this. Okay, so you can see the output that one is for plus one space and one is for 0. If you see, you can also, if you increase this, you can see what I'm suggesting to you guys. So if we do 14D, that means now total 14 spaces, 6 are consumed by the number which is right justified. So there are leading 8 spaces here. I think you can make it now what this format means. And if I make it like this, if I make it like this, now those 8 spaces would be filled by zeros. You can see that, right? Okay, so this is regarding integers, and remember the integers and the floats, the numbers are by default right justified with leading spaces, and strings are left justified by default with trailing spaces. So let me now work around with you with say a number b is equal to 456.88789. This is a float number. So you can see the value of b is printed like this. Now if I use a format to print the value of b, that format would be something like this. So I'm trying to print the value of b in a format of 13.3 and f for float. So 13.3 would mean that a total width of 13 is there and 3 after the decimal, up to 3 places of decimal. So my number is 456.88789. So the 3 decimals, 3 places after the decimals are 887. But here rounding off will take place, and the number, the digit 8 next to 7 would make it 8. So the output would be 456.888. And you can see the output is right justified with leading spaces. Now I can again print this format and use a 0 here. So can you suggest how many zeros would be there here? Okay, you just predict and we'll see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So 6 zeros, 4, 5, 6, 3 digits more, 6 and 3, 9. One digit, one place is taken by the decimal and 3 after the decimal. So you see, once again, if we revisit this statement of ours, this format of 13.3 would mean that 3 places would be printed after the decimal, 1 place is taken up by the decimal. So how many spaces are left? 9. Out of those 9, 4, 5, 6 takes 3 spaces. So 6 blanks would be there in this output. So that is how you understand this. And you can also use a 0 flag here. You can use a 0 flag here like this, and you can use a plus flag also. Okay, so the number would be starting with plus sign. Usually a plus flag is only for numbers which are positive. For a negative number, plus flag does not do any task. Okay, so let us now discuss about strings. So I am taking up a string S as Python programming. Okay, so let me just print this in some format. Now for this I require say some format like 15s. Would mean that I want to print s in a total space of 15. And you see this how much space is already taken by Python programming? 6, 7, 1 for space, 7, 15 spaces. So I think it will exactly print this. Okay, Python programming. I can increase it also. I can make it say 20s. So now you can see there would be trailing 5 blanks. Won't be visible because they are trailing, but the output is left justified. So you can just override it with I think a less than sign. No, with a greater than sign. So it's a bit confusing sometimes. No need to remember it, just do it like this. So now you can see that there are leading spaces and the output is right justified. Whereas a string is left justified by default as we see here. Okay, but with this we override it to this. And then we can use the 0 flag here also. Say if I use 0 here, 020s. So yeah, there is some problem here. Let me just revisit this. S is okay, maybe a 0 is not allowed here. Let us do it like this, say 20.6. So 20.6 would mean a total width of 20, but only this first 6 characters of the string would be printed. So you can see the 6 characters are printed and the rest are 14 spaces trailing. Okay, and if I use it with a greater than sign here, you can see now the output is right justified and we have leading spaces. Okay, so what if I specify a format which is less? Let's discuss the last thing in the formatting of strings. Say I did this as, let's use this. Okay, so let me use say 8s. So Python programming is a string which is about 15 or 16 characters, but I'm saying 8s. So here the Python interpreter is smart enough to see that we have not mentioned the correct, we have mentioned a lesser, width to print, but it will print the entire string. Okay, so if you by some mistake print a width which is lesser than the required, the Python interpreter is automatically going to do it for you. So this is regarding the formatting of numbers in Python with the help of the format statement. And let us now go back to our topics. We can use these inbuilt functions, some of the inbuilt functions in Python which you've used in C, C++, Java already you've used, maybe with some different names. So let's use this ABS, max, min, pow and round functions. Okay, so let me just again bring up a Python session for you, and let me work around these functions. Absolute would be the positive value function. So if I take a is equal to say minus 65, okay, and if I print a, the absolute value of a, obviously it would now remove the minus sign. Okay, and I can also use this as max, say 12 comma 34 comma 5 comma 7. So what output would you predict is the maximum of these. Okay, similarly I can use the min function here. Okay, and then I can also use one of the functions as pow. So pow is the power function, so 4 raised to power 2 return 16 to us. Okay, then there is this round function. So what is this? Round is for rounding off. So round, say 1234.7787, say comma 2. So that would mean round up this number to 2 places of decimal. That means only 2 decimals should be visible after the decimal point. So the output here would be 1234.78. That's what rounding off is. Okay, similarly you can round off say, so what is the output now? The 3 places are 0.774 and the next digit to 4 is 4, which is less than 5. So the output would be 1234.774. Okay, another interesting thing with round off is to round off to a negative scale. Say for example 149 comma minus 2. Here this means to round off this number to the nearest 100. So the hundreds around 149 are 100 and 200. So it is nearer to 100, not 200. So the answer is 100. And suppose I make it as 169. So again here the answer would be 200 because 169 is nearer to 200. And what if I use this? I think now you can predict the output. 1669 to the nearest 1000. So the two thousands which are near 1669 are 1000 and 2000. So obviously the output here would be 2000. Okay, so this is how you can take you can work around with the basic inbuilt functions. So the basic functions are executed just by writing their names and passing arguments. I hope that you're already familiar with the concept of arguments that you must have studied in C, C++. So here this max function is taking 4 arguments and is returning the maximum out of those 4 arguments. Okay. Similarly, this round function takes 2 arguments. You can work around it with a single argument also. So if you write here 134.56, then obviously it will return as 135. So you're not mentioning any decimal point. So that is all for today's video. I'll come up with more content in my future videos. Keep watching.